You know, every time I make a video, I thought, I've said everything I've needed to say. You know how you've got all these, mind you, YouTubers, right? YouTubers, they read out the latest gossip or the latest news. So they can go on for donkeys, right? They can go on for a long time, um, and they'll always have something to talk about. Whereas me, I'm more talking about in the gut. And most of the time, when you talk about in your feelings that you have in your gut, they can all start sounding the same thing because you're speaking from your feelings, right? So I mean, there's only so much. It's like if you love something, there's only so much times you can say I love it, without sounding like the last video. So and so, but then something happens and it spurs on this video, and I'm always questioned about who's to blame, who's at fault, why are we as DC fans in this place as we are. In my previous YouTube videos, I said, well, we all are, right? People behind the scenes, the fans, the viewers, everybody. It's everybody's fault. The reason why DC is the way it is and stuff like that. But for me, right now, this is the major, and it won't come to surprise to most of you, is Disney. Disney's latched on to something that it's been there for 20, 30 odd years now, because in the only last 20 or 30 years we've had sitcoms like the X-Files, and Generation was introduced to Star Trek and Star Wars, and so it began a sort of geek culture. And it's also the James Bond thing, right? Or the Doctor Who, things that have gathered a fandom base. And when you're dealing with a fandom base, it's hard to get there. It's hard to impress every single one. Now you can say, oh well, Marvel's done it. And I would kind of disagree with you there, because I've come across people that love Marvel comics, but not really hot on their films, or believe that they've destroyed some of the characters and stuff like that. But the overall audience that don't read, that go to Marvel movies, aren't so-called comic book readers, right? They're not the fans. So they've got a sort of leash on families and teenage kids, and let's not delve too much in character development, and let's have lots of jokes, and people will love that. And I hate comedies like Dumb and Dumber, right? Things that are so stupid. So Marvel has somehow found a leash, but I'm not going to talk about that. It's something different. But what I'm talking about is Disney's latched on to this geek culture. This geek culture which goes from generation to generation, right? From father to son, or to daughter and mother and daughter, whatever, right? It gets passed down because the parents that grew up with it, the people that grew up with it, then hand it down to the next generation, and ever so on forth. And what happens then is you have nostalgia, right? We had it with, say, like Ghostbusters, when we had that up-to-date version with the women. Now, they tried to do something completely different, but for me, they weren't really trying to do something completely different. They had gender politics attached to it, gender politics, and up with women, down with men sort of thing, right? And they totally dismissed everything that went on before. But when it's called Ghostbusters, you want and you need nostalgia. You need something that connects you when you go to see this film. something of your past, something that made you feel good, right? And that film didn't have it, hence we've got this new remake of Ghostbusters, which could have handed it. And I think this is the main problem that they have is if you're dealing with some fresh new ideas, with something that might have a fandom or have this sort of place in everybody's heart, then you've got to really pay homage to what's gone before. Now, they tried that with Superman Returns, but it was too much of the same thing. See, you can't win in this argument. Now, recently I did see Collider, argue the fact that they loved Man of Steel, and I think people that are going to see Man of Steel now or seeing it again from some fresh eyes are loving it. But when it came out, what did we have? We had nostalgia. Right? We had people and generations growing up with the Christopher Reeve movies, right, that wanted that sort of same feeling or same buzz as that. But the problem with the Christopher Reeve movies and the format is it's outdated. The next generation is not really one for that, and I've heard people say that the Man of Steel actually gave more dimensions to the character than the 2 dimensions that you got with Christopher Reeve. And I love Christopher Reeve's 2 movies of Superman. But again, it's nostalgia that tags. It's this constant feed, and what Disney is doing just now. Let's talk about Star Wars, biggest one, right? Star Wars, grew up with Star Wars. Went to the cinema to see the Star Wars when it came out and stuff. And then, of course, I've handed down to my kid. Says, watch this. Force Awakens comes out. I went, what the heck is this? This is not something I'm bringing my boy into again. So when, of course, The Last Jedi came out, I went, oh, no, I ain't going there. Okay, that problem with Star Wars, what they did, I said, yeah, they're feeding the nostalgia, yeah, music and everything else, but they totally destroyed what the older stuff stood for. They're not really understanding the nostalgia that much, right? Recent reports say that George Lucas held on to the original characters, but that was still no way to treat the characters the way they did. And and if they really wanted to do something with the same flavour and stuff, they should at least have mentioned them and then created new characters that way and everything else. Looks gone, so that way you're not harming what is going on before. Right? You're not stepping on the fans. You're not dissing anything that went on before. And then you got James Bond, Doctor Who. Who's going to be James Bond? Is it a black man? Is Doctor Who a woman? And all that sort of stuff. And I went, and then of course nostalgia. We need the ding, right? Need that in the music, right? You got to fit that in the music. And it's James Bond's got to be a tall white man with dark hair, right? Now for me, that's a character, right? It was written as that way. It's not anything to do with nostalgia. But they can carry it on because it's a franchise, and these are the things. Franchise and nostalgia are quite closely together. And Disney has caught on to that. In the recent or so years, Disney has bought companies and is making movies. I think they bought Sony, they bought Fox, whatnot. And they're taking films like Mannequin and Home Alone. Those sort of feelings. I mean, look what was, I'm sure Footloose was remade, which I didn't go and see. There was always talk about Dirty Dancing. These films have nostalgic value. People love them. Why make remakes? Why not release it? There's talks about Disney not allowing cinemas to play Fox films because, without Disney say so, because it's not nostalgic. So instead, they have like films like Home Alone and Mannequin will make those films because people still hum the tune from Mannequin, and the little boy going like, that is timeless, it's on every year, let's make a remake. We know people will go and see it because it's been going around for so long. Let's go and buy Star Wars, and all we have to do is put the music in front of it, put some characters in it. It's easy money, it will make money easy. Let's go and make Frozen 2. Let's go and remake The Lion King. Right, we don't need a script, we don't need screen, we already got the writers. Let's go and make every single film we've already made, redo it in a new way, nostalgia. People will want and to take the kids to see it because it will remind them of how they saw it in the cinema. But this time it's special because this time we have actors doing it. So are we to fault? Yes, we're to fault. Because we get sucked into it. We get sucked into this nostalgia travel. And we get sucked so much into it that we're buying the cinema tickets. We're proving that Disney's right. I once saw a graph recently and it showed how much Disney makes and Warner Brothers slightly underneath it. That is worrying to me. Because all the other companies, they're far low down. The fact that we don't have any films that is of original thought anymore. There's Justice League was destroyed because they wanted to make it like Marvel, like the big company, right? And it's just because, and it made Warner Brothers go down a path that it didn't want, that was against the principles. Right, Zack Snyder, Christopher Nolan's already said that they totally disagreed with the DCEU universe because Warner Brothers is not known for that. Warner Brothers was known for director-driven movies, and the fact that the DC is a lot darker and the characters, that you could do just as good at making character study movies, or you can just do good as one-off films where the film will stand up and speak for itself instead of having daft directors coming in and just making films to tie in from one end to the next, and who cares, it's rubbish because it's got Disney franchise nostalgia on it. And who are we to blame for all these films? Who are we to blame that Marvel, I believe Marvel's going down again with the agenda politics for its next phase, right? But you guys and girls out there will buy the tickets because it's nostalgia, it's Marvel, it's what you believe that you really love so well. Nothing original. Zack had an original, yep. BVS was done completely. That was out of the ballpark. Never seen a hero movie like it before. Superman was a whole new twist that people were suddenly realising, wow, that's different. That's something new. You know, we moaned at the Brandon Routh one because it was so similar to the last Christopher Reeve movie. So when we do get it, we moan. Who's to blame? We are. We're to blame. The cinema people buying tickets and whatnot, they're to blame because you're supporting this. I ain't supporting it. I've never paid for a Marvel film since the Avengers. And we don't want these companies getting so big. I mean, Disney's so big just now that that critics are being told which films to say are good and which films to say they're bad. They're having to choose what battles to fight. And when it comes to Disney that owns a monopoly, of course, they cannot say it's rubbish, can they? They always get a fresh tomato. We've looked at the evidence on Rotten Tomatoes when you see that critics have given movies 3 out of 5 for like Avengers Endgame. the same thing was given to Joker, 3 out of 5, but the 3 out of 5 for the Joker was a squashed tomato, while the 3 out of 5 for Endgame was a fresh. It's there in black and white. Still, people turn away from my Facebook page because they don't want to listen to that. I get lots of people on live videos when I post these things, and the minute they hear something that is truthful and honest, they or a different way of thinking about things, they turn off, because we've all, and it kind of proves that films like Blood Diamond can happen, that we can, that They Live can happen. We're all brainwashed into supporting stuff we really don't like, and most of it is all down to Disney's new way of life, and that is buying things with nostalgic purposes. Hell with original ideas. We'll just give something so that the fathers or the parents and the mums or whatnot will go and see, because you've got to see the new version of The Breakfast Club. No, why not just write a new story? Why not create a different character instead of Doctor Who to be a Time Lord for a new series? And it saddens me that, but there is hope on the horizon. Warner Brothers have took the initiative. They have taken the initiative, and they are making Joker. To me, that shows that they're not listening to critics. That the film Warner Brothers is risking to make films that can be dangerous, that they could be flops. They want to make those mistakes because they want to go back to director-driven movies, to character-driven movies. This is the right way. We cannot be, there's no nostalgia. I mean, here's the thing. Now we're having fans write in for this homicidal maniac and talking about it's not funny that a movie about a psychopath comic book character is supposed to be funny because Marvel has done this, and this is what you should be making. No, we should not be making. Forget the fans. What are they talking about? You are the, especially if any DC fans says this, or so-called, when you go to see a film that is, I mean, I don't know what certificate this is, it's definitely going to be R-rated, it's not for kids, right? Batman has got some screw loose. That doesn't necessarily mean it's for kids. This is a guy that's a vigilante. God, even the Arrow shows can be a wee bit too old for kids. Superman can be too old for kids because he has to make life and death choices and not to listen and let people die and stuff. These are films that we need to delve into. Character development, not give something that just because the fandom or nostalgia or things that Marvel is doing says will work. No, you get more respect by being creative and not just doing something because the last generation liked it. Well, that's my thoughts and views. That's my truth. I hope it is yours. And thank you for watching.